Hello, I'm Rob Phillips, and welcome to my channel, where I help you to live a more balanced and present life through yoga and meditation. Today we're going to be doing a 45-minute full-body Yin Yoga sequence that's really just a deep stretch to help you loosen up and open up the body in the most general sense. For props today, I'm going to recommend having a blanket, and I'm also going to recommend having a yoga strap. Now, keep in mind if you don't have a proper yoga strap, you can use almost anything for this, like your pants belt, an exercise band, really anything just to kind of lengthen the arms should be able to get the job done here. And then finally, as always, if you enjoy these videos, please be sure to give me a like and consider subscribing to my channel if you want to see more videos like this each and every week. Whenever you're ready to get started, we're just going to find our way into a comfortable seat here. So once you've settled into your seat, you can close your eyes. Begin to let yourself relax. Begin to let yourself land here. Really remembering that beyond the physical release, beyond the stretching and unwinding that we'll be able to accomplish here, we also have this ability to really soften and to let go within the mind too. So before we get into the more physical work, just feel the body settle into stillness here and notice what that feels like as you connect with that experience through the mind. Start to feel a sense of the body, start to feel a real sense of your breath. Really connecting here in this moment as you already are. And just before we move on here, for this final minute or so, really scan the body and ask yourself, what are you holding on to that you can let go of or release? Where's there an opportunity to feel a bit more calm, a bit more at ease here? And as you notice those opportunities, let go. Really settle. It's going to be kind of the unifying theme that we'll work with here throughout this class. Finally now, here let's take a gentle inhale breath through our nose. As you gently exhale out your mouth, you can lower your chin down and slowly open the eyes. And from here, we'll lift our chin upright, and we'll start in our first proper pose for today, which will be a simple butterfly shape. So you're going to take your feet together in front of you here, maybe a good foot or so out. Be sure that you feel no sensation in the knees, and remember you're welcome to use blocks or blankets. Extra reinforcement can certainly be helpful here to support the knees. Once you've got yourself set up here, we'll take an inhale breath for some length, and using an exhale breath here, we'll start to walk our way forwards or ease our way forwards into our fold. And so as we start our practice here, I know that the title of this practice is a deep stretch, deep release. And certainly on some level, that's what we're going to be doing here. But I also want to remind us as we do this work that, in my experience, this practice tends to be at its most valuable when we don't have a specific goal in mind, when we're not trying to push ourselves deeper. So even though you'll be getting a nice deep stretch here, you're going to get exactly what you signed up for. Try not to do so in a forceful way, and I promise you that the body will relax in response to that. By really taking our time in these poses, you'll actually get deeper into them than if you push too hard or work with just too much willpower through the sequence. And really, the most important thing that's related to that is to always listen to what you feel in the body. So we should never feel strong or sharp sensations. We should never feel anything remotely approaching the point of pain. If you do feel anything at all like that, please immediately back out of the pose. Please consider modifying or even skipping the pose if necessary. But again, if we work in this really gentle, kind of patient way here, we can get this gradual opening of things, this gradual release of things. And as a final point here for this first pose, and certainly something I'm going to be talking about a lot throughout the sequence, this deep relaxation doesn't solely happen in the body. In fact, a lot of it is happening on a mental level. We need to relax our state of mind. We really need to settle and come into a place of calm here. As the mind settles, as the mind relaxes, the body will naturally relax too. And over time, they can kind of create a feedback loop with one another. So that more and more you're dropping in here, just relaxing the body, relaxing the mind. Really getting the deep release that I think most of us will have come here for in the first place. Here for now, let's take final complete breath. Slowly roll your way up and away from the floor here. And once you're up, it can be nice just to roll the shoulders out a little bit. And as well to extend the legs here, let them release. Now, please find your strap, have that close by. We're going to be using it. And let's make our way all the way onto our back from here. So as you lie down here, just kind of spread yourself out onto the floor, coming into what I call a resonance pose. So it can be really tempting just to jump from one pose to the next here, but again, kind of in keeping with this theme of really taking our time, really being patient with things. Give yourself a minute or here so that the tissues can settle, so that the body can continue to settle. You can even get a little taste of some of the energetic benefits here. Feel that kind of vibration in the body that comes from these longer holds. It comes from releasing in this deep sort of way. Let's take a nice long inhale through our nose. Nice long exhale out our mouth. From here, you're going to walk the feet in, knees bent. Grab a hold of your strap and just make sure it's kind of unlooped. And again, if you don't have an actual yoga strap, no problem. Use anything that just gives you a little extra reach happening in the arms. So from here, we're going to set up this pose in a particular way. I want us to set up the strap so that it's much more on the heel of the foot. So notice how that's almost like on the bottom of my leg. With that set up here, as you extend the leg, we can really kind of line up the bones. We can really find a nice angle, nice straight kind of alignment happening through the whole leg. And so if the legs are particularly tight, you might need to have that leg rather low to the floor. As you get more flexibility, more range of motion, you can raise the angle. But again, nothing forceful about this. Just start with a very light edge. And if it's possible with the prop you're using, I'm going to recommend as well here rolling the strap or prop around your hand just to make it a little easier to hold because we're going to be here for a little while. Now that you're here, we can close the eyes and just remembering to minimize any use of effort here. Yes, you're holding on to that strap, but you're not pulling on it. You're not like prying it as high as humanly possible. Just relax the arms. Let gravity do all of the work for you here. Really settling. Really letting yourself arrive right here. Again, just considering this softness, this flexibility that we're working towards in the body here originates from our state of mind. Really let the mind settle. Really let go of the need to analyze or control things and see what it's like just to be here. If things bubble up, if things get stirred up, no problem. Just ask if you might be able to let them go. Really letting go again and again here so that we feel more calm, so that we feel more spacious, physically and mentally. And we'll take just a few more slow breaths here in this pose. And stick with me on the exit because we're actually going to dovetail this right into our next pose from there as well. But appreciate these last few breaths first. Take one more complete breath right here. Now, to dovetail this into the next pose, you're going to bend that left leg and cross your left ankle over the front of the right thigh. You're making your figure 4 shape right here. And from here, we're going to turn this into a nice easy twist. So essentially, you're just going to roll the legs over towards your right side here. Now, notice how my left knee is still pointing up towards the ceiling. So you can really fine tune this. I like to find a nice stretch on the outer edge of the left leg as I set this up. Of course, listen to how this feels in your body and adapt accordingly. And I do always put out there for, every so often I find a student that this pose is just like too much for. If that's you, any similar twist is fine. You don't need to do exactly this. But in whatever twist you found here, let the body relax and land. Feel that release on the left side hip or lower back. Really letting yourself land and connect right here where you are. And these poses take time. So notice what it feels like to be still. Notice what it feels like to really unravel right here. What can you let go of that you're still holding on to in the body? What can you let go of that you're still holding on to in your mind? Just a few more slow breaths here. Take a final moment here to feel the pose and then slowly start to roll your way into center. In the center, you can uncross the legs and just do a little movement, little shift for a few moments. And again, let's take a brief resonance here. So you can extend the legs out onto the floor. Spread yourself wide, and forgive me, just kind of fixing my mic back. There we go. So spreading ourselves out. Feel this kind of sense of vibration in the body. Lasting sort of afterglow of things. Let's take a nice long inhale and a nice long exhale. Slowly walk the feet in so your knees are bent here. Grab a hold of your strap, and again, the intention here is to set up the strap more on the heel of the right foot this time, as opposed to the arch or the ball, which is how usually I think you probably will have seen this being taught in the past. And so as you line it up here, we can get that leg nice and long. And again, if the leg's tighter, you might need to be lower to the floor. If you have more range of motion, you should be able to take it a bit higher. let the sensation tell you where you need to be, and really resist the temptation to try and push hard here. And another subtle point, if you feel like you have to bend the knee a lot to be in the pose, you've probably gone too far. Let that leg be nice and long. You'll get the most benefit out of it that way. But practical matters aside here, now that we're in the shape, let yourself relax. Let yourself release and land here. And feel the effects of the pose. Things will gradually open up, and it doesn't take strong force to do that. And in many ways, pushing too aggressively can be counterproductive here. While there are some cases where more active or dynamic stretching is definitely valuable, that's not the practice that we're doing here. Yin Yoga is a much more gentle practice, longer, more passive holds. Because we spend so long in the shapes, we need to really take our time to keep ourselves safe and to get those deeper benefits that we get from just slowing down. And again here, consider, what can you let go of in the body? What can you let go of that you're holding on to within the mind? Truly settling here, just as you are, for a few more slow breaths, a few more moments. Let's take a final complete breath right here. Slowly, as you exhale, you can release your strap, and please cross your right ankle over the left knee here. And then once you've got that in place, and forgive me, turning off my timer here, there we go. Once you've got that in place, you're going to roll the legs over to the left here. And if possible, see if you can align yourself in such a way so that that right knee is pointing a bit towards the ceiling. You can relax the right shoulder, kind of out alongside you. And like I said on the first round, if for whatever reason this twist doesn't feel right for your body, you can really twist any similar way and get most of the same benefits anyway. What we're aiming to feel is some amount of release onto the right side ribs and lower back. Even the right side shoulder will get a bit of effect from this too. In this pose, there's nowhere that you need to be. There's no place we're trying to get to. You're truly just settling right here, relaxing into things as they already are. Where is there some space to be found in the body here? Where is there some space to be found within the mind here? And as you settle into things more and more, always asking what you could let go of. What could you release or unwind? Just a few more moments here, just a few more slow breaths. Take here your final complete breath whenever it arrives. Slowly roll your way back into the middle. And again, as you unwind, you might appreciate just a little movement, just a little shift side to side for a few seconds. And one last time, just before we get up from here, let's take a short pause. Just kind of releasing the legs onto the floor, that resonance idea. Just settle here and take a few nice deep breaths. Feel kind of energetic quality. Feel that almost like vibration happening within the body here. And just before we get up, let's take a deep inhale breath through our nose. Long exhale breath out our mouth. To get up, I'm going to recommend just walking the feet in and slowly rolling your way over onto your side. So then now you can gently press your way up onto hands and knees. So from here, we're going to come into a deep hip opener, dragon pose, lunging pose. So I'm generally a fan of using a blanket here. I think for most students, that's a good idea, just to pad the knees. If your mat's thick enough, it might not be entirely necessary, but better to overpad than to underpad in most of these cases. And then once you've got this all set up here, we're going to step our left foot forwards, somewhere near the front of the mat. And with that left foot up here, we're allowing for the weight of the hips to settle, really releasing down and towards the floor. Now here's where we want to be particularly mindful of the intensity of sensations that we feel. So this pose is a little stronger. It's going to stir things up a little bit. That's okay. That's something we can generally work with. But if things become painful, things become intense, remember it's better to be too cautious here. Now as we go a little further, I'm going to recommend taking both hands inside of the right foot like I'm doing here. And if you feel like getting just a little more juice for your inner left thigh, what you might do is flex your left toes a bit. Let that knee fall out. And you can even add like a little twist here, kind of pressing, looking over towards the side. I'm going to stay with a straight arm here. You can even come down to the elbow on that right arm, maybe onto a block if you'd like. And I really want to emphasize, you don't have to look like I do right now. I want you to listen to your body and figure out what it needs. However you've happened to set up here, can you do so with just enough effort, just enough activation to sustain the pose, while still allowing for the body to settle, still allowing for gravity to take you in? Now, we definitely, as I've said, don't want to strive through actual pain here, but a valuable technique we could use is just to notice the breath to help keep the mind focused. Just coming back to that easy movement is a way to stay centered, is a way to stay connected. Maybe you'll feel things shift and open up here. Maybe you'll remain just right as you are here. Now, I'm able to stay relatively still. I've been doing this pose for a very long time now, but if you need to shift a little bit, if you need to fine tune, that's fine. Don't force yourself to hold rigid. Again, it's better to work too gently here. We've just got a few more slow breaths, just a few more moments in this pose. Take your final complete breath where you are. Carefully wind your way out, move nice and slow on the exit, and it can definitely be valuable to reset that left leg, to let it move a bit, shake it out a bit if you'd like. Shake the butt out a little bit too, could feel good. I'm going to rest in a child's pose for a minute, and if there's any other comfortable pose for you, that's fine. I like child's pose. I know not everybody will necessarily. Just find some place where you can really settle, where you can really land and arrive. And take some nice deep breaths here. Again, keep that energy circulating, keep things vibrant within the pose. We'll settle here for about 5 more deep breaths before we come up and do the second side. And from here, let's start to pick ourselves up. And of course, we'll set up for the second half. So from here, we'll take the right foot forwards this time, of course. Stepping up somewhere near the top of the mat. And remember, you want to regulate the length of things here. You want to pad that back knee, make sure there's no strong pressure happening onto it. Hands could frame on either side here. Or I'm going to recommend, though, taking the hands onto the inner edge. This can be a starting point. And start out here for sure, and maybe you end up staying here. Maybe you don't need to go farther than this for your body. Again, each of us is unique. If you went there on the first side and it makes sense for you on this side, you might begin to fan that right knee a bit off center, maybe pressing a bit into the thigh, so there's that twisting action happening. Again, sometimes a stronger stretch is fine, but there's no prize for going too aggressively here. This practice generally rewards patience, rewards taking our time. So set up in an edge that's sustainable for your body at this point and really let yourself relax. Really let yourself settle into it. If there's any pain, please back out. There's no benefit to striving or forcing your way through the pose. But we might expect to feel a little bit more here. And as you settle, you may find it valuable to shift or fine-tune your alignment. So I'm doing now for my shoulder, for example. But mostly just being. Mostly just connecting right here as you already are. What could you let go of in this moment? What are you holding on to that isn't serving you in the body? What are you holding on to that isn't serving you in the mind? Feel that here for just a few more slow breaths. Take your final complete breath right here. And again, carefully wind your way out. And I invite a little bit of movement, a little bit of shifting on your way to feel things out. This time, once you've worked things out, I'm going to recommend if your blanket is able to roll up here, you're going to place that in the center of the mat. And if you happen to have like a proper yoga bolster, that can work even better for this. But the idea will be to prop up the hips as you extend forwards, relaxing the belly down towards the floor. And this just gives a little bit of kind of space for the hips, a little bit of space for like your lower back. And take a few deep breaths through all of that to help things circulate, to help things move. We're now very much well into the sequence. So can you just notice everything you've already let go of? Can you truly notice the sense of space that has opened up in the body and the mind? We've got just a little bit left to go here, a few more poses, but really appreciate how far you've come, really appreciate all the deep work that you've already done today. Let's take a nice long inhale breath through our nose. A nice long exhale breath out our mouth. Gently pick yourself up here and remove your props from underneath you. Land flat onto your belly. Rest here for just a few seconds, really just a couple of breaths. From here, we'll set up for a bit of a back bend / shoulder opener, which is Sphinx pose. So to set up your Sphinx pose, you're going to rise up onto your elbows, rise up onto your forearms here to lift the chest. And there's many different ways to fine-tune this pose. My personal recommendation for today might be to widen the collar a little bit and actually lift the chest up, not in like a strong way, but just adding like a hint of energy to it. Excuse me. Now, the intention here is to feel a bit of release into the lower back, a bit of release across the collar. If you come in and things are too intense, you might need to back down a little bit. You might be pushing too hard, and we want to be particularly careful about that when we do these more spinal-focused poses. You can even kind of drape the arms over your blanket here and stay rather low to the floor with just that little bit of lift in the chest if this is too much for you. But otherwise, assuming this feels okay, you're going to just let yourself relax, especially relaxing any tension in the belly or the legs. Letting the pose be what it is and allowing yourself the time and the space that you need so that the pose can do its work. And importantly, always asking what you might be able to let go of. Let's feel that here. Again, for just a few more moments, just a few more slow breaths. And take your final breath right here. Slowly, as you exhale, you can lower all the way down to the ground and just relax there. Just rest for a few seconds, take a few breaths. Here now we're going to find our way again onto our back. So you can roll yourself over in place here. And just as kind of a little counter pose for the back bend that you were just in, I'm going to recommend holding the knees into the chest. Give yourself a nice squeeze, kind of like an inverted child's pose, and just settle here for a few breaths, creating some release into your back. Just a couple poses left here. We're going to tie this all together with banana pose. So to set that up, you can lower your feet down, and I'm just kind of looking at myself in space here. I realize I'm going to need to come down a bit because I'm in a pretty tight configuration here. So to set up this banana pose, you're going to scoot the hips a bit over to the left side of your mat, so almost like all the way off. From there, you can start to shimmy your shoulders back over to the right. This is intending to stretch the left side of the body. And then also we can take our legs across our mat at a diagonal. Now, you can have the legs kind of staggered. I usually actually cross my left ankle over the top here, and that helps to really dial in a nice hip release. Finally now, you can consider taking your arms up and over your head. So there's that upper body component. That upper body release is happening here too. Again, make sure you feel comfortable here. You can certainly notice the effects of the pose, but it shouldn't feel like strenuous, shouldn't feel like too much. Just a nice release for your whole left side. And as we make it into the home stretch here, and I guess that's pun intended, going to give us a bit more quiet. I'm just going to kind of let us marinate in the pose without cueing us so much. We'll be here for just a little while longer. So let the body relax, let yourself release here. And trust that time and the pose itself will do exactly the work that you need at this moment. What can you still let go of? What are you holding on to that you don't need in both the body and the mind here? Really settle into that for a few more deep breaths, about another minute or so right here. Please take your final breath right here where you are. Carefully unbananify yourself. You can just shift into the middle. Take a few deep breaths there. Give your body just a minute or so here to resonate. Just a few slow breaths, really. And let's set up for second half, so you can walk the feet in. Press the hips a bit over towards the right edge of the mat. And then you can gradually extend, backwards order. You can extend the shoulders back over towards the left side here. So you're creating that stretch on the right side, waist and ribs. Take the legs over back to the left. And again, consider crossing the right ankle on top if you want to get a little more hip stretch action happening here. Finally, once you've got that all in place here, consider taking your arms up overhead, really completing that nice full body release here. Make sure that you can really lie down. Make sure that you can really relax and settle into the pose. Body becomes still. Hopefully the mind becomes still as well here. No place that you need to be other than right here in this moment as you are. And like the first set, I'm going to be mostly quiet here to just let you drop in, to just really let you settle as the pose does its work. What can you let go of in the body? What can you let go of in the mind? Really let yourself settle through this pose. Really let yourself release and surrender here. And take one more breath right here. Carefully unravel everything. Shift your way back into the middle. And this class, we don't really have time for a full Shavasana, but if you wanted to take one, of course, definitely encourage that if you have time to do so. But for all of us here, let's just resonate for a nice minute or so. And just to clear things out, take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Open up the mouth, the exhale, let it go, and just settle here for a few breaths. One last moment of resonance here to integrate everything that we've done throughout this whole sequence. Now, from here, when you're ready, you can walk the feet in. Roll your way onto your side and gently press your way up into a comfortable seat, and just close your eyes there for a moment. Take this final opportunity to feel all the changes, all the shifts you've cultivated from your practice today. And to join the hands in front of the heart. Thank you so much for joining me today in this practice, and may our practice bring benefit to all beings. We bow. Thank you so much, as always, for joining me for this. If you have any thoughts or questions, do let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And finally, if you want to see more yoga practices like this each and every week, please subscribe to my channel because I'll be coming out with more very soon.